Hey guys, it's great to be here in Toronto at this payment summit. It's how many people are here? 1,800 plus. That's amazing. Great job. I lead the global R&D for Mastercard, and in this group we explore the emerging technologies, the emerging commerce trends, and then we build products around them that are widely adopted. And this adoption is where it's really getting interesting, back to Mike's point. Let me show a graphic. So this is a timeline from invention of a technology to how much time it took to be adopted by 25% of the US population. That's what we kind of benchmark ourselves to say, well, there's a wide adoption. This starts around the second industrial revolution. You can see electricity took 46 years. Then it kind of comes down to televisions to about 26 years. Then if you take it forward, you can see PC took 16 years to mobile phone, 13 years. Smartphone was 3 years. Facebook, the social network, was 2 years. GPT, 2 months, right? So what does that mean is that the rate of the innovation and the speed of adoption is happening much faster than ever before, especially in fintech. And these emerging technologies are reshaping the commerce, and businesses like us must adapt. So last year, Sasha Kristik talked about the future of payments at this summit. This year, I want to talk about some of these emerging trends in technologies, and more specifically, how we are thinking about these programs or these technologies would be applied to some of these examples of the products that we are building for our customers. So let's start with GenAI. GenAI is everywhere. It's a rage for a reason. I'm not going to go into details, but really one of the big usage of GenAI is the digital assistants. So these apps are evolving to perform different jobs, ranging from travel booking agents to life coaches to the language translations to being lawyers, although lawyers did not go that well. It's also creating novel ways for us to engage the customers. So one of the examples that I want to give you is from a Mastercard company, Dynamic Yield, which works in the personalized offer space. So here's the scenario, right? Say you're going on a wedding in Bali, and you're trying to shop online for what you're going to wear there. So what's the traditional workflow looks like, right? You first go and figure out what you actually wear at the wedding, to then look at the weather in Bali and see what's appropriate there, to then actually going to the merchant and then using different, how do you do this? There's thousands of items there from the catalog. You got to use the filters, right? And it takes a long time. So this is a cool use case where GenAI can actually be ready to be applied. So what Dynamic Yield did, they created a personal assistant that combines the large language models that we have with the personalizations and recommendations from the product discovery to sell. Now I'm showing it over here. So instead of really customers looking through a catalog of hundreds of thousands of items, you now have a concierge service. We call it Shopping Muse. So it essentially creates itemized offers, filters essentially. It's like thousands and millions of filters, and streamlines the customer journey from the product discovery to actual sale. So we're going to see these assistants coming into all these shopping experiences in the next probably 8 to 10 months. So let's move on. Let's talk about something even radical, right? So this is the spatial interfaces. So Apple popularized this term, but the idea is there for a while in the popular culture. You've seen this in the movies like Minority Report. Spatial computing uses, in a nutshell, it uses the hand gestures and eye movements to engage with the virtual objects in the physical environment, right? And it has a lot of implications. The technology is still maturing, but you can see that going to be applied in fields of, say, education, manufacturing, to healthcare, and then also shopping. So here is an experience that we created with a partner of ours as to how these spatial computing can be used in shopping.
exclusive collection where timeless elegance meet vibrant hues. Perfect for your summer looks.
Though this video goes on for a while, it's pretty cool actually, right? But for me, trying out the shoe size, how many of you had to return a good because when you buy a shoe, you have to actually return it back, right? And that itself is a justification for retailers to start adopting this tech. We know that shoppers return about 5 to 10% of the goods that they buy in store. But that changes to about 40% when you buy goods in the online experience. And then it takes it's $33 to process a return of $50, right? So that's a lot of cost, and this experience will change that. So right now, these things are bulky, as you know, but very soon, it will be common to have these real smart glasses, and that's where, again, is a competitive advantage as to whoever adopts this first. Let's move on to tokenization. Now, tokenization is around for a while. Tokenization, in a nutshell, simply takes the sensitive information like credit card number, for example, and replaces with a unique code we call a token. It safeguards you from things like, say, data breach, as these random numbers mean nothing to the criminals. But tokenization can really represent any digital asset, like stocks, intellectual property, and other sources of value. And if you put them on a blockchain now or a network, you can make it transferable, you can make it tradable, and you can make it secure. So, and then you can actually make these tokens to be programmable. You can add rules around it, and then when a customer uses them, those rules will be applied as to when, say, for example, you can use a payment or do a payment. So there are a lot of use cases, but one of the great use cases is around the loyalty programs. So why loyalty programs? Loyalty programs are expanding. They're growing at a CAGR of, say, 25% plus for the next 5 years. Yet at the same time, I think loyalty space has a lot of unrealized potential. So today it's hard to create interoperability between the loyalty programs. You guys all know that. It's hard to use my hotel reward points for anything other than that hotel itself, for example. So on the merchant side, the program management of that loyalty program can be really complex. And then fraud around the loyalty is everyday news, right? And so tokenization can definitely help mitigate these challenges. Tokens reduce fraud, and they also make these points to be interoperable, right? And it's, again, going back to the rules, you can actually add rules to those loyalty programs so they can actually put those for different use cases. So when we talk with the customers who say, well, here's what the tokens can do for you, customers want these tokens in their loyalty programs. So there we go. Moving on. So I mean, while the tokens can help on the fraud side, we're creating tons of data, right? We have all these huge data repositories, and that is also getting larger and larger because of the Gen AI, where you can now use unstructured data and then create structures out of it. What that also does is it opens you up for the data breaches. In fact, last year, there was a twofold increase in the data breaches from 2022 to 2023. I just saw the stat, and I think you know this. 66% of the consumers would not trust a company after a data breach. And then if you're not a present customer, they would just avoid it. So these breaches have accelerated the regulations around the use of data. But then we as companies need to also invest in managing and responsibly using the data. So this is where the privacy-enhancing technologies, or what we call PETs, could be of help. Now, there are a bunch of these new technologies that are around. There's 9 of them here. I'm not going to talk all of them. That will take a lot of time. But let me point out a few that I'm really quite excited about. So one of the challenges that we have with encrypting the data, it's cool, right? You encrypt the data, you put it on the cloud. You can't do anything with it because it's encrypted. So what do? You decrypt the data, and then you actually perform actions on it. So that's where most of the breaches are happening in the cloud or anywhere else. But there are new techniques like homomorphic encryption that allows the data to be processed while it's still encrypted. So you can perform the computations, like you can do a search, for example, or you can sum up the amounts without actually decrypting the data, right? And you can see the results actually after those are decrypted. So that's a cool technology that's evolving as we speak. Then there's also this concept of synthetic data generation, which is a process of creating artificial data that mimics the statistical patterns and properties of real-life data. So where can you use it? Is when you want to actually train the new models, AI models. Instead of using the real data, you create synthetic data that looks and feels like synthetic data, but doesn't have the PII information, for example. So that's another good technology that's coming your way. And then federated learning is another idea. So today, if I need to train an AI model, what I need to do, I need to get all this data at one place. And then I run different algorithms and create a new model, right? So centralizing the data is incredibly hard, as you know, because there's tons of repositories all around. It gets exacerbated as you're looking at the on-soil requirements for certain countries and regulations. So now, the federated learning is where you can actually distribute the AI model instead of getting the data together. So you basically put the model into where the data repositories are. That's where you train the model, and then bring it back, that essence in an encrypted fashion. And then that's the federated learning model that you have. And you can do that iteratively over the years. So again, this will help us in actually gaining a lot more data, and we can process a lot more data and provide new insights to our customers. So we just talked about, from copilots, we talked about Gen AI, we talked about protecting data, we talked about tokenization, we talked about spatial computing. If you pause and think, these map into 3 groups: AI, data, and compute. So what I'm really excited about is 2024 is the year where these emerging tech trends in AI, data, and compute are intersecting. They're amplifying each other's impact. For example, availability of data now is enhancing AI's effectiveness. You have new computing chips that are helping the AI models. And you can churn more data because you have compute and AI, right? These are driving innovations that are far beyond the tech sector. And it is actually transforming finance, retail, healthcare, education, everything. So tremendous value is going to be created. And this is as big, if not bigger, than the other innovations that I just saw in the first slide. More importantly, there is an urgency to this. We are going to succeed or fail based upon how fast we can adopt these innovations and build our products and services, because our customers, our employees, our business partners are actually going to demand this. So that's my presentation. There's a QR code. We'll circulate it. We have a Mastercard team here. We'd love to talk with you about some of these trends and these things. Thank you so much. I appreciate it.